Memorial Day is a special observance for Americans. We honor those who made the ultimate sacrifice for our country. The Flags in tradition at Arlington National Cemetery is one event in which members of the military honor their fallen comrades. Each year ahead of Memorial Day weekend, Old Guard soldiers place American flags at more than 228,000 headstones. My colleague Brett Baier talked with Joint Chiefs Chairman General Mark Milley last week ahead of that event.
General, thanks for the time.
Hey, Brett, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Why is it important to be here, really any day, but especially on Memorial Day?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we should honor our veterans and our fallen every day of the year and be thankful and be on our knees thanking God that we had these young men and women who gave their all, gave their tomorrows for our todays. And today is the one day of the year that we celebrate that we remember it as an official holiday of the nation, but really it should be an everyday thing.
We're in Section 34,
we are,
which is significant to you too.
Sure, yeah. Right here in Section 34, we've got some of the folks who raised the flag on Iwo Jima. Right over your left shoulder is the Iwo Jima Memorial. My father landed on Iwo Jima. We've got General Pershing here from World War I, and you know, you got the bookends of probably the worst 50 years or 30 years really of violence in human history from 1914 to 1945. And it's a very, very special time to remember, especially now with what's going on in the world.
And we'll go over to Section 60, which is really Afghanistan, Iraq, and you have people here who have been buried, who served under your command.
I do, I absolutely do, and I'll go visit some of them, and it's a very emotional moment for me. Yeah, I'm very, very proud of the troops that are here, and my soldiers are buried here as well.
Do you think most Americans fully appreciate the sacrifice of the million plus who fought and died for our country?
Oh, absolutely, I do. I think the American people are incredibly generous and very appreciative of our military. I think they absolutely are thankful for the men and women who served in the cloth of the nation from the Revolutionary War into today. I think the American people are very appreciative of their military.
I want to ask you some questions about today's news, and obviously there's a lot of focus on Ukraine.
Sure.
And the one question I get time and time again is, how does this end?
I think right now it's a bit early to actually tell. And now you've got a very significant operational fight going on in the Donbass between the Ukrainian and the Russian militaries. How that shapes up in the next few weeks will probably in large part shape the outcomes of what will happen. It could end up as a grind and go on and a stalemate. It could end up with one side or the other having a decisive victory. It could end up in a peace negotiation. There's many, many alternatives, and we're not really sure right now.
It's up to you Ukrainians. You said at a news conference last week.
The end state is defined by the political leadership. In this case, President Zelensky is going to define the end state inside the boundaries of Ukraine.
So does that mean you're going to support if he wants to, let's say, take back Crimea from the Russians?
We, the military, will support whatever President Biden and our political leadership determines. But in large respect, I mean, this is a war between Ukraine and Russia. How this ends on the battlefield is going to be determined by President Zelensky and President Putin.
If, like for example, the Ukrainians decide to use U.S.-provided weapons against the Russians in Russian territory, I know there's a policy thing, but is that a problem for us?
Well, I think there's always a possibility of escalation, and we have to closely manage escalation and the chances of escalation. So we do that, and that's why you saw Secretary Austin talk to his counterpart. That's why you saw me talk to my counterpart in order to manage escalation and prevent this thing from expanding into something much more horrific than it already is.
Do you think Putin needs an off-ramp, or are you concerned that humiliating him would cause some kind of catastrophic result?
Whether Putin has an off-ramp or not, and whether Zelensky has an off-ramp or not, those are up to those two leaders to determine. They've lost well over 100,000 casualties, killed and wounded on both sides. There's been 7 million refugees, 6 million internally displaced persons, horrific damage to the infrastructure of Ukraine in only 90 days. This is a very, very serious war that's taken place with high consumptions of resources on both sides. So I think a negotiated outcome is a logical choice, but both sides have to come to that conclusion on their own.
We mentioned Section 60 and the veterans from Iraq and Afghanistan buried here. Looking back through the prism of history to that time, do you think that we as a country got bogged down in Iraq and Afghanistan when really the bigger threat was China? And is China?
Well, there's no question that we, fought for 20 years in Iraq and Afghanistan against a counterinsurgency threat against guerrillas and terrorists. And in some ways, those fights are still going on. Terrorism hasn't gone away from the face of the earth. But at the same time, in parallel to those, while we were in Iraq and Afghanistan, China was building a world-class military, and Russia was reforming itself and preparing for the invasion that they're executing right now. So bogged down, sure, I think that we were clearly engaged and decisively engaged in both of those conflicts, while Russia and China were moving in a different direction.
In that region, North Korea, saber rattling again, firing 3 missiles last week, talking very aggressively. Do you consider that a serious threat as of today?
Sure. North Korea is very much a serious threat. They've got significant capability. They've got a very large land army. They've got a capable missile and nuclear force, and that is of concern to us. That's why we have 28,500 troops on the Korean Peninsula right now today. And of course, we have a treaty, a defense pact with South Korea and with Japan. Will the regime last forever? No, no regime lasts forever. So at some point, my thought is that Korea will once again be a unified country at some point in the future. How far, how it happens, when it happens, who knows?
Is the military, in your mind, ready for the future?
We're moving in that direction. I think that we've got a lot of work to do. We're in a period of what I would call a change in the character of war, where we have fundamental changes in technology, for example, robotics and artificial intelligence. This last series of strategies that have been put out in the last few years are pointing us in the direction to adjust and reform our military.
The country's divided, but it seems the military is grounding. You know, there's a unifying factor with the U.S. military. Do you see it that way in a divided country?
Absolutely. I mean, you're sitting right here on hallowed ground. This is what unifies us. It's those that came before us. And this is where we come from. And we're never going to turn our backs on the Constitution. We're not going to turn our backs on those that are buried here in Arlington.
And that's what you think about when you come here?
Absolutely, every time.
General, thanks for the time.
Great. Thanks, Brett.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.